Hi, welcome back to the Sales Genius Podcast and the War Games Group. I'm Joe Ingram. Today, we're diving into an inspiring story of transformation with Coach Dan Gordon, who turned an $80,000 setback into a journey of authentic success. So 8 months after losing his marketing company, he was already standing on stage at his first professional speaking gig, clocking 10 grand to be there. Now, Coach Dan takes entrepreneurs on transformative journeys to elevate their leadership and income while living life to the fullest, which again, work-life balance, that'll be something we can talk to Coach Dan about. But so get ready to unlock the secrets to authentic sales and mindset growth and success. So let's get it started.
Welcome to War Games, hosted by the sales genius Joe Ingram. If you're looking to win the sales battle, then you have joined the right team. In the War Games Group, we devise strategies for sales, marketing, branding, mindset, and attitude. We enlist the assistance from the most successful producers across all industries. We then share their knowledge and techniques with you. Our single goal is to get you ready for your next sales opportunity. When it comes to crossing the minefield of sales, step in the footprints of those that have crossed before you. Now, prepare yourself for boot camp and beyond. It's time for the War Games to begin.
Are we playing games?
Hi, welcome back. Let me go ahead and pull VIP Bob Donnell up on the screen. Welcome, Bob. The next level Bob. And I'm also going to bring up the guest I just bragged about just a second ago, Coach Dan Gordon. Coach Dan Gordon, I'm going to start right now. Welcome, and no douchebag selling sitting right behind you on there. Bravo. Sell like a badass without being a douche. I think that really drops it out and says this is who we are today, right? And who we want to be. But
absolutely.
I appreciate you coming on. And so, Coach Dan, welcome.
Thanks. I'm so happy to be here. And by the way, I have a new mission in life. I was just watching your introduction and it was flashing up all these people who have been on your show of note and people who have done well. And I'm like, okay, I need to get in that. Like, I want you to recreate your opening with me. So I'm going to work really hard to knock this out of the park to get one of those spots.
And Brian Galke, who is heading back to his office so he can jump on, said that's one way to set the tone with the no douchebag selling. Yes, we fired up. We got to get it going.
And I'm going to tell you something too. So, one of the things and the core of no douchebag selling is all about authenticity. So authenticity was the word of the year last year, which means it's been so overused, it has no meaning, right? And so the truth about authenticity is sharing the things that you don't want to share, having the conversations that you don't want to have, and opening your heart in a way that makes you say, oh crap, I don't think I should be talking about this. And the truth is, you have to go too far to see how far you can go. You have to go too far to see how far you can go. And that's definitely true in sales. So I'm going to do a little piece of authenticity, no douchebag action right now. 15 minutes ago, I learned that this is not a regular interview, that I was going to be kind of leading the show here, right? So I had nothing prepared, right? And so what happened? My ego structure wanted to say, let's reschedule so I can be prepared and do this right. So it's a beautiful thing, because anytime your interior system says stop, you want to hit the gas pedal. You want to go into the things that you're afraid of. You want to do the things that you think that you shouldn't do, because that's where the gold is. So even if this is a complete failure and I completely screw up and I don't end up on the opening of the show, I'm better off having jumped in this, right? And it also reminded me, I actually know what I'm talking about. So I was
Bravo.
really right. So I was really happy to be in a situation where I like, oh, is this right? Am I going to be okay? Like, yeah, I think I'm going to be fine.
Right. And I will tell you too that again, I think that's the biggest gut check moment we all get, right?
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden there's a microphone shoved in your face and they're like, well, contribute. You're like,
Yeah.
well, I'm really glad I know my stuff because I can pull stuff up that most people would need to practice and practice and practice. But
Mm.
I do love the fact that again, the answer is your ego will always push,
Yeah.
right? It's always going to. And I appreciate the authenticity. And I tell everybody all the time, as soon as you can fake that, sales is a breeze. Right?
Well, then, it's the end of everything. And look, if you really want, and I'm talking to you are who listening, if you want a masterclass in authenticity, in checking your fears and pushing through, do stand-up comedy and go skydiving. Not at the same time, but do both of those things because it will challenge your reality of what you believe you're capable of achieving. Right. And like some people are extreme sports people, they don't have a problem with doing skydiving. Okay, great. You do stand up, right? If you're an attention hog, if you love being up on stage, go skydiving, right? Do the thing that you don't want to do because that's where the lesson is.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to tell you, Brian said we could just tell jokes on the way down. Right. As we go down. Tyler is not sure about the skydiving stuff. And I'm with you, Tyler.
Well, Tyler, that's why you got to do it.
Yeah. Bob Donnell had a whole event, one of his events, live events, where he took everybody and they all jumped out of a perfectly good plane.
Right.
Which I didn't. I was sick that day. Yeah. No, I've done the stand-up thing. I'm totally okay with the let me get up on stage and do some stand-up. But yeah. So no, but that would be one heck of a way to test every insecurity you have.
Yeah. And look, this is the game that we're in. We are in the game of doing the things we don't want to do. We're in the game of challenging our illusions about what we believe we are capable of achieving. Because if we don't challenge those illusions, it's like we live in a minefield and we're unwilling to move because we think, uh-oh, I'm going to blow up. Well, sometimes you got to blow up. And the fact is, I have failed more often and larger than most other people have because I try more new things than most people have. And unless you're willing to do that, go get a day job, right? If you don't want to fail, if you don't want to look like a moron, go sweep floors or something. It's fine. I mean, it's a noble job, but you can't be an entrepreneur. You can't play it safe. And not only can you not play it safe, but you got to play it hard and you got to play it fast and fail often and fail big. And that's when you learn how to love yourself through your failures. Because if you beat yourself up, you are not going to take the risk and fail again. And this is all the work that you have to do. And that's what I love about selling. Because anything that you struggle with in business or life or relationships shows up in a sales interaction. If you don't truly value yourself or your product or service, it's going to show up in a sales interaction. If you're afraid of rejection, it's going to show up in a sales interaction. And what you do is you lean into it. And one by one, piece by piece, those things begin to dissolve. But they don't dissolve on their own. You can't feel ready. You can't go to some stupid like Sandler method of selling and go in there with a bunch of stupid ass Jedi mind tricks and kill it. Right? You have to show up as you.
And what do you call a Jedi with 4 eyes?
What?
Jedi. Oh.
It's exactly what I was talking about. I mean, it was really beautiful of you to fail that way. I love it.
Exactly. Okay. So I do have a question I want to jump in and throw at you. Okay.
Please.
So in looking at this, so you lose your marketing company, right? You're in the whole 80 grand. Okay. Yeah. And then you turned it around. So there had to be, and I hate the word pivotal, right? Because it reminds me of pivot. And that was the whole
friends, right?
COVID word that we had to go through. That everybody had to pivot. Yeah. No, I prefer Friends with Ross yelling pivot on the stairs with the couch. Yeah, pivot. But you had to make that shift, right? To turn your life around. So my question to you is that what was that shift? What was that make or break moment that said, okay, now big boy pants on, and I gotta turn it around? Because you went from business owner to, I just lost it all.
I did. And, I'm going to give you a little background on this, because what most people do when they fail is they blame circumstances or they blame someone else. Right. So I work with a lot of real estate agents.
That's why I have Bob here, in case I messed up.
You blame Bob. I love it. Okay, good. So if Bob will be the whipping boy of the show. But when I Bob's nodding, that's great. When I work with real estate agents, a lot of them say, well, it's the market right now, that's why I'm not selling. And I say, oh, so no real estate agents are selling? And they go, well, some are. I'm like, so then it's not that, right? So right. And so you to describe what happened, you have to understand I was already out of the mindset that it's somebody else's fault. Now, I had a very good story about why it was. I inadvertently hired a pathological liar. And we were closing business left and right and sideways, because if you have no intention of keeping your word, you can, and I was like, are you sure you can do this? And he's like, yeah. And so we closed all this business. I eventually realized it was all a scam, and I was scammed. I had to go back to each one of my clients and say, look, I laugh now. This thing that I promised I could do for $10,000, $20,000, it's actually going to cost $50,000, $80,000, right? Yeah. And they said, wow, that's really fascinating. You're fired and we want our money back.
Right.
And so in
like,
less than a month,
problem.
Yeah, right. Because I realized, when I fired him, I'm like, okay, I actually need to follow through on these things I promised. So I started to call, to do some research on it and call people, and they're like, no, you can't do it for that. And so they asked for the money back, and of course I gave it to them. And so in less than a month, I lost, and I'd like to say 80, but the truth is I lost over $100,000. I was another $50,000 in debt. And I had literally an emotional breakdown. I was sitting, in my living room, and I fell to the floor in snot and tears, and I just had an uncontrollable crying fit. And all of this stress and all of this pressure that had been building up since all this happened, it just came out. And I was it felt like I was at the end of my life. And I called a friend, because when you're struggling, you have to reach out. Nothing great happens alone. And she said, I told her what happened. She said, well, you want to get back into marketing? I go, no, I hate marketing. I'm just really good at it. And she said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, the thing I want to do, I can't do, because I want to be a coach, because I used to teach personal development. I'm really good at this, but I know I could be successful at it, but who's going to hire a coach who just failed at business? And she said, I don't know, you'll figure it out. And so what I did, to answer your question, first, I divorced myself from the idea that it was the fault of this guy, the pathological liar. And I said, I wanted this to happen. I wanted this to happen because I hated marketing. I couldn't find my way out of it. I hired this guy to free me of it. I just didn't realize that that's what I was doing. Let's not do that again. The next thing I did after taking responsibility is I just wiped the whiteboard of my life clean. The things that I knew about myself, the things I believed about myself, what I can and can't do, I just wiped it clean. And I reached out to my friends. I said, who am I? Because I have, for the past 8 years, I've been lost. And I started to rebuild Coach Dan Gordon from the ground up. I started to really understand what I was capable of achieving, the people I had helped, some of the people I hadn't talked to in over a decade that I helped when I was in personal development, and began rebuilding this structure. And so then when I started telling people I'm a speaker, not I want to be a speaker, I am a speaker. I'm a coach and speaker. And I would start to talk to people, and this, there was a couple of people I turned down for coaching because I didn't think I could help them. And I'm thinking, what am I doing? I need the money. I'm broke. But I would tell people, look, I'm doing great. I don't need the money. And I wouldn't take on a client if I didn't believe I could help them. And then came that moment of when I had the opportunity of speaking. And somebody introduced me to this guy or this company. And I'm there talking with him. He said, here's what we want a speaker to talk about to these new entrepreneurs. And the things that he said were just wrong. I knew it wouldn't be helpful. And I thought, just say you'll do it. Get the gig. You need the money. But then I realized my other business failed because I was out of integrity. I'm not starting this one out of integrity too. So I said, sir, with all due respect, the thing that you want won't work. Here's what you should hire a speaker to talk about. And for 15 minutes, I just laid out the program that he should have a speaker talk about. And then when I was done, I started collecting my things because there's no way I'm getting a gig after telling the vice president of this big company, he's wrong. He turns to the person next to him and goes, hire this guy. He's the real deal. And it knocked my socks off. I said, and then he said to me, oh, what do you charge? And I was so unprepared. Like, I did not expect to get this gig. I thought this was just going to be a practice. And I said, well, I usually charge $10,000, usually. And he goes, that's fair. And I walk out of there and I think, well, now I'm really screwed because now I have to follow through on this thing. I have no idea if I can do it. And on the drive home, I started thinking about what I want to talk about. I grabbed my phone. I started recording this presentation. And the presentation that I ended up doing was almost word for word what I said on that drive home. When I did it, I got the first standing ovation this company had ever given. But I want you to understand, to those who are listening, all of this happened. This is all the ego deconstruction. All this happened out of a tremendous amount of pain and staying in the pain. It was 8 months of feeling like shit. But I knew that if I didn't do that, if I didn't stay inside of this, it wasn't going to be revealed to me what I was truly capable of achieving. And so if you want to know what it takes, it's that. It's you show the world your ass and you get the slings and arrows that come with it. But what I want to offer is I learned a lot of things on the way. And the coaching that I do now helps people by preventing them from making a lot of the mistakes that I made. And I don't just want to spend this time talking about myself and my successes. I want to spend my time helping you who are listening right now. So, Joe, would it be okay if I gave some advice about how to increase your sales?
Oh, I would love it.
Okay.
That's a wonderful thing. And so Brian wanted to make sure the showing your ass part, I was not going to take part of here on the show. Right. So he wanted to make sure it was not literally Joe, show your ass.
I'm going to push back on that. If that's something that you're really scared of, Joe, and you also believe, okay, but you also believe it might get you somewhere, I'd say go for it. But overall, I'm not your coach, but if I was, I would say don't do that. It might corrupt your credibility. So
right, exactly. Now all of a sudden I get taken off of Spotify with.
I know, right? Yeah, that might be a killer. So
Tyler's in agreement as well. Brian stopped me. Yeah. So.
One of the things I talk about in sales training, in my no douchebag sales training, is that you have to go to where your prospects are. A big mistake that most salespeople make is they try to convince someone that they're right and the prospect is wrong. Can I give you an example?
Please.
So, I do sales training coaching, that help people evolve, create a better version of themselves. So Joe, I could spend 20 minutes telling you why you should do this, right? All the reasons, all the people that I've helped, how it helped me, reason after reason after reason. And then you could still say, nah, it doesn't sound like it's right for me. I'm like, Joe, come on. Like, you got to take action, man. Winners step up. You got to, like, this is up to you, buddy. I can only give you the option here. You got to take action. And that's what winner, like,
the horse has to decide to drink.
Yes. Such crap. It's such crap. And the reason that it's crap is because it's trying to force you to do something I am unwilling to do, right? To take a risk, right? So what I have to do first is I have to lead the way. right? If we're on some kind of safari adventure, and I can't say, Joe, hey, go down there and maybe you'll see, a lion, and I hope he doesn't eat you. Like, well, hey, Dan, why don't you go first?
Right.
So if you want something to do something, to take a risk, you got to take a risk first. So there are 4 words that I came up with that have closed more deals than anything else. And Joe's getting his pen out. He's going to write it down. Now, I'm setting this up in kind of a way where it sounds like, oh, well, I got to say these 4 words, I'm going to close a deal. But most people are very resistant to say these words because of where it leads. I'm going to explain what I mean by that in just a minute. I'm expensive. Right? I'm not expensive because I'm trying to be cute. I'm expensive because I work really hard. And I'm expensive because I want people to have to climb over the 100-foot wall to work with me. Right? They really got to show it that they want it. And that's what being expensive does. Now, when I talk to people about coaching with me, and they're very interested, and then I tell them what I charge, and they say, well, I can't afford that. Of course, it'd be easy to just say, well, you got to invest in yourself. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, I can't help you. But when you do that, what are you doing? You're making them wrong. You're telling them that they're a moron. You're making them feel bad. Now, I could close someone making them feel bad. I could. But then what's the relationship going to be like? I'm just going to, either keep doing what I tell you. Yeah. That's not, I'm about greater consciousness. I'm about self-love. I'm about looking at yourself in the mirror and going, I rock, I'm a beautiful soul in this world. And that's not how I'm going to sell. So the 4 words, when someone says, I can't afford you, the 4 words are, hey, I get it. I get it. I know what it's like to want so much to be able to buy something and then look at my bank account and say, I can't afford it. It's a terrible feeling. And I don't know if I'm being sexist when I say this, but for men, it seems specifically more so. The hunters and gatherers, for a guy to say to another guy, well, I can't afford that. It sounds like you're just admitting that you're a failure.
Right.
And so
I have to swallow my pride, and my manhood is exiting my body as I say it.
Right. So what I say is I just share an experience that I've had with that. And more recently, it said, when I went to buy my Tesla, and I didn't buy it because I wanted to tell everybody I had a Tesla. I don't really give a shit about that.
No, you're saving the planet. That's why.
Well, it's more that Rosalind, the love of my life, we love traveling and we hate driving. So we want to travel around the country and we don't want to drive. Well, what are our options? We can have someone drive us.
Driver.
Right.
Yeah.
Or we can get a vehicle that drives itself. Okay.
Right.
We are now living in a world where that's possible. Awesome. We need a big vehicle because we got to store a lot of stuff in it as we're driving. That's the Model X, right? That's our option. And so what does that cost? $114,000. All right. Let me look at my bank account. Holy shit. I don't have near that. Right. Because I invest every dollar right back into my company. Right. So I felt terrible. And I said, I can't afford it. And then I said, I am unwilling to live that life. I'm unwilling to live in a world where I am limited by my own thinking of the money I'm capable of creating. So I bought the Tesla. I mean, I got it. I got a loan, and it's really expensive. But it was very hard to make that choice. And look, I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm a Midwestern Jewish guy. Spending $114,000 on a car is antithetical to everything that I grew up with.
No, your whole family's didn't disown you.
My grandfather is still rolling in his grave, right? What are you doing, right? And so, but the thing is like, this is the life I want to live. It's not about impressing people. It's like, this is the vehicle that I need to live the life that I want to live. And so I was willing to take that risk, to get that loan, knowing that, hey, this car might get taken away from me, right? If I can't pay the payments, right? I might look. I've made some mistakes. I've gone broke. I might go broke again. But the thing is, I was willing to take this risk because it's what I wanted. And so I understand it when you say I can't afford it. I've been right there. And then I say, can I tell you how I made it through this? And can I tell you what you might be able to do in order to feel better about affording things that you can't? Whether or not you end up coaching with me, I don't care about that. What I care about is that you erase I can't afford it out of your mind so that you live the life that you want to live. Because if you wait till you can afford something to get something, you'll be waiting the rest of your life. Because the truth is, the money that you have in your bank account right now is a physical manifestation of a belief system that you're carrying inward, right? You want to know what you believe about money? Take a look at your bank account. If it's low, if you don't have many assets, that's what you believe about yourself. It doesn't work the other way around. You don't make a lot of money and go, oh, I feel successful. You feel successful first. You know, Rosalind came into my life at a time like when I lost everything. There was no, like I had been wanting to meet somebody special, but she came back to my life. We had known each other years before. She showed up. She just happened to send me a text. How's it going? I said, oh, funny you should ask. I'm having the worst day of my life. But here's what happened. I was more authentic than I had ever been. Right. I sat and talked with her and I said, this is who I am. This is what I know I'm capable of achieving. And so it wasn't all the pretense. It wasn't all the crazy crap that I was saying to every other person I was trying to date. It was just honest. And we started to fall in love. And now we've been together 8 years. And we live in this beautiful home up in the mountains. And I'm living a life I couldn't even have imagined when I was on the floor in snot and tears. But it all happened because I was willing to do these things, because I was willing to live in, hey, I get it. So this is just, hey, I get is one of 25 responses that I created to overcome objections. And I want to give this to you. I don't want to sell it to you. I don't want to put you in some stupid sales funnel. I just want to give it to you. So in order to get it, just text the number 25, just text 25 to this number, 213-409-8366. Text 25 to 213-409-8366, and you will get my 25 responses to overcome an objection. Right? It's so easy. There's one other thing that I would like to share with you. And this is, so as I was developing myself over those 8 months, I would give myself challenges to do things that were hard and scary because I knew that was the way out. And I gave myself a challenge. I was at a restaurant and I was having lunch. And because that's what I would do every week. I would take myself out for lunch because I was unwilling to say I can't afford to go to a restaurant. So the crappiest, greasy little spoons, but I would do that. Like every week I'd take myself out. And so the server came up after lunch and she said, would you like a dessert? And I was about to say in my mind, well, I can't afford it. But this is what I said. I said, I'm going to make a very unusual ask. And it's okay if the answer is no. I just want you to know the answer. It's fine if you say no. But I'd like the apple pie and I'd like the restaurant to pay for it. Not you. I don't want it to come out, but I want the restaurant to pay for it. And she said, why do you want a free dessert? Like, is it your birthday? And I said, no. And I was about to tell her I'm going to challenge myself. I said, no, if I say that I'm challenging myself, then it kind of ruins it, right? Because they'll want to support me in this. So I said, no, I said, look, and she said, well, I can't just give you a free dessert unless I know why. And I said, I totally get it. And it's fine if you say no. But I didn't tell her why I was doing this, right? She asked me a bunch of questions. I said, look, I just want you to know I'm fine if the answer is no, but I would like the restaurant to pay for the dessert and I'd like the apple pie. And she said, well, let me ask the manager. I'm like, great. And the manager comes up and goes, why do you want a free dessert? And it's the same thing. Like I was really tempted to tell him why. And I'm like, look, it's fine if the answer is no, but I'd like the restaurant to pay for this. And he turns to the server and he goes, All right, give them the apple pie. And what was really weird is that this flood of guilt came rushing over me. Like, what did I just do? I didn't deserve this. And I got, no, I did deserve this, because what I did is I stood steadfast in my discomfort. I didn't explain myself. I didn't try to, like, I stayed uncomfortable. And that experience has helped me so much in sales, because when I'm in a sales conversation, and it's a conversation, right? It's not a pitch, it's a conversation. When I'm in a sales conversation, I'm uncomfortable. I'm asking someone to do something that they might not want to do. Well, no, they want to do, but they're afraid of doing it, right? They're going to spend $65,000 with me, or whatever it is that they want to do, that they want. I'm taking them through their discomfort. And rather than explain things to them or go down whatever path they want to go down that has nothing to do with investing, with buying, I just stay focused on the fact that, hey, we're in a position right now where it's a yes or a no. And I'm fine if the answer is no, but this is, this is up to you. And by the way, it's like, I don't have these conversations. I don't close anybody on the first interaction. First interaction is about building rapport. I want to get to know this person. I want to know what they're struggling with, right? And by the way, if you want the free dessert challenge, you can go to gordon.coach/dessert. Gordon.coach/dessert. Gordon, GORDON.coach/dessert. And download this. It's a whole process. Like anything that I do that works, I turn into a system. And I give this to my clients.
Nice.
And by the way, I just made it available like 15 minutes before this show. I'm like, I want to make this available because it's really good. I want to give this away to people. I don't want them to think they have to hire me to get these cool things. So I didn't have time to make to make a text-in number. Great. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so thanks for testing me on how to spell dessert.
Yeah. So this is easy.
I put it up there. Yeah.
It's 2 S's because you always want seconds on a dessert.
Nice.
I got a million of them.
So
this is, I hate the Sandler style methods of selling, these little tips and the phrases and the Jedi mind tricks, and talk about their pain points. Like, why do you want to talk to someone about the things that they're unhappy with? Like, what you want to do in sales is you want to talk about the world that they want to live in. I don't talk about, oh, you're not making enough money. That must feel awful. Let's talk about what a crappy salesperson you are. What I talk about is, imagine you walk into a sales meeting and you feel like, I got this. That that no matter what they say, you know how to respond. No matter how they come at you, no matter what kind of resistance they give, that what's going to happen at the end of that meeting, they're going to say thank you. If they buy, if they don't buy, they're going to say thank you. And most of my sales meetings end in hugs instead of handshakes. And even if you're selling, like, let's say you're selling fishing lures, right? You're selling them online. You're selling them on Amazon or something, and you don't have one-on-one sales meetings. The internet is not going to save you when it comes to sales. Amazon is not going to save you. ChatGPT, social media, nothing is going to save you when it comes to selling. You have to develop the authentic sales pitch that then goes on your website, then goes into the Amazon description. And you don't learn what that authentic sales approach is until you have one-on-one meetings with people. Until you look in someone's eyes and you understand what is moving them emotionally. And the reason I'm talking about fishing lures is because one of my clients has developed this really cool fishing lure. It's not out yet, but and what I said is, don't talk about the stainless steel hook. Don't talk about the carbon fiber body of this fishing lure. Don't talk about the years of development. Don't talk even about how many fish you can catch. What you want to talk about is what is important to someone who's fishing. And he said, what's catching fish? Like, no, Do people tend to fish by themselves or with somebody else? Okay, they tend to fish someone else with someone else, right? And we developed this by him talking with people who fish. I said, and when they're fishing with their friends, what do they want? Well, they want to catch the most fish. They want to catch the largest fish. Why? Because they want to hold that fish up in front of their friend and go, ha, right? That's what they want. Beat you, right? So that is what we developed as the sales pitch, right? Right? The authentic sale. Like, you're going to throw it in front of your friends. You're going to throw it in their face, literally. How you are the big guy on the boat. And so that would have never come if we didn't do that work. You're on mute, Joe? No, right.
Yes, I am. Someone walked in the door. So
okay.
I want to make sure. If he started screaming and you'd be like, "Oh, Joe's doing his training. He's beating people."
And so, I'm sharing this with you who are listening because so many people do these flips and twists to get out of selling. Oh, I don't need this because I have ChatGPT, or I'm putting these ads on LinkedIn, or on Facebook or whatever. It's not going to work until you get into it, until you actually get into a one-on-one interaction with a human being, because human beings buy things. AI doesn't buy things. You have to go out, you have to do networking, you have to do one-on-one sales. You have to put yourself out there, and you have to fail hard, often, and face it. And it's the only way. The other thing I want to share with you is I wrote a book called Selling is Bullshit. And the reason I wrote this book is because I would talk to people about sales, and that's what they said. And I'm like, wow, that sounds like the title of a book. I'm going to write that book. Now, if you would like this book, you can go onto Amazon and buy it, but I'd rather give it to you for free. I don't want to give it to you for free because you who are listening, you took the time and you took the effort and you stopped what you were doing throughout the day and said, I got to get better, and you should be rewarded. So to get that, there is a text number. You can text BS, as in bullshit. Text BS to that same number, 213-409-8366. 213-409-8366, and text BS. And walking along the crawl right there. Oh, okay. That changed it. But yeah, you can go onto my website.
I can change it right back again.
Yeah, that's fine. DanGordonEnterprise.com. Enterprise, not enterprises, enterprise.com. And /books. And you can see all of my books there. And finally, the last thing I want to offer you is I want to help you. And I am happy to have a 15-minute conversation with you, a no-cost consultation. And when I first started offering this, I thought, this is crazy to offer it on podcasts, because that's what I'm going to spend all my day doing. And so few people take advantage of this.
Yeah,
because even in my book, it says, call me, book a call with me. And to date, only 5 people have done it. And there's got to be thousands of those books out there, right?
Yep.
And so I give it away freely because I know you who are listening, statistically, you don't have the courage to have that phone call, because what you're concerned about is old Coach Dan is going to try to sell you something. But what I can guarantee you, 2 things out of that conversation. One, at the end of the conversation, you will not be a client. You will not be a client because I will not ask you to be a client, because that's not what that call is about. If you're interested in being a client, we can set up another call, but it's not going to happen in that call. The other thing, you're going to walk away with at least $10,000 worth of free advice. So to book that call with me, just text the word help, HELP, like help me, Coach Dan, to that same number, 213-409-8366, 213-409-8366, and text help. And you need help because nothing great ever happened alone, right? It's
You're testing my banner typing skills. So
Orville and Wilbur Wright,
number. Think about it. Capitalize them. You text the number 25,
right?
Okay, to this number. Then when you're done, you just type BS to this number.
Yeah.
Right. Then you text help. You've already
Yeah.
made $11,000 worth of value right there. Do you know what I'm saying? You've got the book to help you.
Yeah.
You've got the actual conversation, right? And you can go over and grab yourself some dessert challenges too,
Yeah.
right?
It is so fun to challenge the illusion of what you think you're capable of achieving. And it is an illusion. Like when we're born in this world, we come into this world believing the world is in service to us. You know, there isn't a single baby who goes, you know, I better not cry because I don't want to be too needy. Right? Babies don't care. But here's what happens. You're 6, 8, 11 years old. You're at the grocery store with your mom. You're walking down the cereal aisle and you grab a box of Lucky Charms and mom goes, oh, we can't afford that. And what happens? And she's like, put that back. And what happens, because when we're little like that, we don't understand what I can't afford it means. All we understand is that suddenly we've broken rapport with our mother or our father or somebody, our caregiver. We've broken that rapport and it feels like a heartbreak. With our little selves, we're like, uh-oh, I've separated myself from the love of my caregiver. And it is heart-wrenching. Again, of course, your mom doesn't know that's what's going on, but that's what happens with our little fragile egos.
Yeah. Yes.
And so next time we go down that cereal aisle and mom says, you know, grab the cereal that you want. And we go, well, I'm not grabbing Lucky Charms because that doesn't feel good. I'll get these stupid generic oats that I don't like. And little by little, day by day, moment by moment, we begin dialing down what we believe we can have until we reach adulthood and someone says, what do you want? Because I ask this question a lot. And most people go, well, what do you mean?
Right.
And I go, what do you mean what I mean? What do you want? Like, do you want a cookie? Do you want to go to Disneyland? Do you want free coaching? Like, what do you want? Just ask.
You want hair, Brian?
Right? But we have shattered our belief that we can have what we want because we've been systematically avoiding heartbreak.
Right.
And the advantage of losing everything was as I was thrown back into heartbreak so hard that I realized it's not that bad. My ship will always right itself. Now, I would say that if, God forbid, I lost Rosalind out of my life, the love of my life, I don't know if I'm coming back from that. But barring that, any material thing that I lose or can't get, I'm coming back. I'll feel like crap. I feel like crap a lot, but I come back. I just did, I'll share this with you. A couple of months ago, I did a presentation in Phoenix and I just, did I shit the bed on that thing? It was, I did it in a way that I thought would be super, like I would close more, but I wasn't authentic. I thought, this is good. Like I did something.
Tell me it was a mattress company. Tell me it was a mattress company.
No, it wasn't. It was awful. It was just awful. And I spent a week feeling crappy. And then I woke up one day, I turned to Rosalind like, all right, that's it. I'm back. You know, I gave myself a week. And in that time, I learned the lessons I need to learn. I rewrote the entire presentation, even though I'll never do it. I rewrote it because I wanted to write it from the perspective of where I was then. And I knew that I was very much in my heart. When you're sad, you're in your heart. And I rewrote it. I'm like, oh, this is good. I'm sure I'll use pieces of it somewhere.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Dan. This has been phenomenal. So I'm going to throw up to Bob and say, Bob, do you have a question for Dan? Besides, you guys should connect for next level because
my question. What's
programs. That? I said Bob has his own program that I think.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
So my coach, Dan, is what has been the worst shortcoming that you've encountered besides the financial, that one. What's been the worst and how did you recover?
So are you talking about like something I did wrong or something I
you did
screwed up
something
on
wrong
or just like, or my character?
I'll let you choose.
Okay, thanks.
Bravo, Bob.
Uh,
That's always Bob with the great questions.
yeah.
Deal with it. That's what he was going to say.
Well,
Next, he's going to go, hey, I get it.
I'll
Yes.
actually
Touche.
share a couple things. So in terms of my character, I'm a compulsive overeater. I'm a food addict. Or that means that over the course of my life, I have lost and gained over 500 pounds. Right. And it is unlike everything else in my life. Everything that I've ever wanted, I've been able to achieve. And I have not been able to achieve permanent weight loss currently. I'm about to do some pretty radical things, but I would say that that is something that I deal with every day because like right now, there's a part I am thinking about food, even before this. Food is always on my mind. There is a voice in my head.
Pretty yummy looking. Probably what it is. Because notice Brian's off the screen right now. So
okay.
Yeah, as long as they don't look like a drumstick or anything.
No, well, no, not people. But I'm thinking about pizza. So that's it's something that I struggle with, and it's a part of my life, and I'm sharing that with you. I decided to share that because everybody's got something. This is mine, sure. And it's likely going to be with me till the day I die. Like if I haven't gotten rid of it now, right? And I've tried every diet program, done it, but so I'm doing some radical stuff that's coming. That's one thing. The other thing is that's sort of a character issue. I'm not a confident person. Like I don't wake up in the morning confident. What I wake up in the morning is willing. I'm willing to do the things that most people won't do.
I'll take willing any day of the week over confident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know what confident is.
Wow.
I just know that if there's something that I want, I'm going to go for it.
Dan, thank you for sharing that. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks.
And I'll introduce myself as confident. Hi, Dan. Nice to meet you.
Oh, that's what it looks like. Oh, yeah, awesome. All right. Right there. You're going to get the beard, the whole thing.
Right. Yeah, I was on a show yesterday with Brad Lee, who did nothing but clown this. What are you trying to do? Be Colonel Sanders? What are you trying to do with it?
Oh, fried chicken. That's my favorite.
I'm like, go ahead, Brad. Keep going. Yeah. It don't hurt. Yes. But if anything, I got attention for it. So we'll be good.
There you
go. I'm not generally confident, but I approach every sales interaction with an attitude of, you have to trust me. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
because I've worked hard.
Such a difference.
Yeah. And for you who are listening, that's the way that you want to approach sales. I don't think that you should necessarily say that, but I think you should feel it and embody it. Because I know that anytime I'm speaking to someone about coaching or sales, I'm the smartest one in the room. So I run the sales meeting, right? If they start firing questions at me, I'm more likely to go, okay, the questions that you're asking right now are because you're trying to get out of this meeting, right? You're trying to find a reason that I'm not good at this, or it's a scam, or it's all about the money. And I'm not going to answer those questions. But here's what I am going to do, right? We're going to talk about what you're afraid of right now, right? That's the attitude of, you have to trust me. I know what I'm talking about.
Nice.
No, that was great. Hey, I was at an event last night with a mutual friend, Bob and I, Bill Janishak. He and I were
I heard about it.
Yeah, we were at the meeting, and then they run through the meeting. 10 minutes into this meeting, I ate the food that they had, which made it a good meeting up to that point. Right? Then after that, I'm listening to it going around. Everybody introduced themselves, like 20 something people in the room. And then after that, it was just, whoa. And I was like, man, I'm losing. I can't stay focused. You're not doing it. The guy scrolls up on let me show you this up on the slide. And he starts showing a slideshow, and he's trying to tell us why we want to be part of this group. And I'm looking over at Bill and Glenn, who are sitting next to me. And I'm like, all right, how do I have to fake a heart attack? What do I got to do? Right. And then But then I stopped, right? And I've been through a lot of meetings, right? I've been through a lot with Bob, and I know what it's like to do it right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, I've been in Bob's next level by association meetings. I know when it's slamming and there are people there and you're talking to people and you're learning the stuff and they're forcing it. And I'm like, no. And then one guy then the guy scrolls down and he's talking about an event and then accidentally shows the price and immediately jumps the mouse back up the other way.
God, what
Like
a
this.
moron.
And I'm like, oh, dude, no. And the worst part was at the end, he's like, and if you're doing this thing, it's free. So the price that he was so scared of he was giving as a gift at the end. And I was like, and I just sat there, I'm like, oh, and you can get this. And then I'm like, okay, so that's how you set the bar high. And then you offered up this one down here. And then one guy across the way goes, are you kidding? Really? You don't have to sell that. The value's so much more than what you just asked. Where's the order form? And I look over and I'm like, well, there's the plant.
Yeah.
Right? He's here to try to do this. One guy stands up and he was like the kind of a celebrity of the group because we all know him. And he gets up and throws his credit card at the host in the beginning. Right? The guy stands in front of the room and he throws it up there. So then the lady who's actually left to run this chapter, right? I'm sitting with her at the end. She goes, okay, so Joe, what did you think? I'm like, really bad question. But I looked at her and that's literally what I said. It was like, really bad question.
Yeah.
I said, that's not going to lead you towards closing anybody, but this is not the group for me. And she goes, oh, really? Why do you say that? I said, for one, your presenter is scared to death of his price, scared of whatever, did this and this. She's like, okay. I go, so-and-so over there is a plant, right? This guy's already in. I know it. Right. And she's like, she goes, well, yeah. And I said, and so hasn't paid to be part of any group in years. And he threw his credit card at you, then walked up and shoved it in the host thing. I'm like, the Playhouse 90 is really old.
Yeah.
And I said, and I go, and several times I had contributions to give to the group, but I also knew it would be wasted. And she's like, what do you mean? I go, every person who was sharing didn't share anything that was going to help someone in the room. It was them taking a way to kudo themselves or to give themselves credit. Well, let me tell you, when this happened to me, very similar situation to you, and I was so flippin' awesome that I overcame it and did this and that. So if you want to talk to me afterwards, I can give you some help with that. You know, that was the answer. It wasn't like, oh, well, don't be stupid. Go get this AI product and do this and this, and it'll get it done for you, right? But several times I raised my hand, put my hand down, and I was just like, this is not the group to invest in.
Right.
I want you to go get one of those metal cards and sharpen the edges and throw it at them.
like a throwing star.
Yeah,
right.
I'll do the same thing. Oh shit, sorry.
Yes, I want in. Oh. Guy just sitting there with the thing on the ground.
Look, I'm not a natural born salesperson. I'm not. I mean, the crap I went through growing up, like all things being equal, I should be living under a bridge with a needle in my arm. I mean, it was really bad. It was touch and go there. I don't want to go into it, but
don't depress us now. What the hell?
Right. Well, I'm just as a testament.
Back to homeless Dan Gordon.
Like you can come back from like anything, and the truth is that I used to hyperventilate before and after sales meetings. Sometimes during sales meetings, I'd be like, "Oh, can I use the restroom?" And I go in there and have a panic attack. But what I knew is if I stayed in it, I'd get better. Because you never get worse at something that you stay in. You always get better at it. But you have to get through the point that you really suck at it, right? And I mean, look, right out of the chute, my first speaking gig, I made $10,000. But a few months ago, it was awful because I tried something new and it didn't work. All right. Right. But that's the thing. You get better at anything that you do. Joe, I would guess that the ability to do that in that room didn't come to you naturally. Like it's years of being good at this and understanding that what they're doing isn't helping them. and you're not going to be a part of something that's detrimental to people.
Right.
I mean, I
don't want to be a part of
yeah.
something that's going to be a time suck for me, because
Right.
literally, Dan. So I bought a book. I listened to a podcast. The
Uh-huh.
author said, "Hey, go check out my book." I
Yeah.
go look at the book, buy the book. In the book, it says, "Here's my cell number. Here's my email. Reach out to me if you solved this problem within the book."
Okay.
Right? 100,000 copies have been sold of this book.
All right.
Right. So I'm sitting out on my patio, smoking a cigar, finishing the book. I get through this problem and I'm like, yeah, I got this. Pull out my phone and email the answer and go, hey,
Yeah.
I'm on page 78, whatever. Here's the answer to the book. Boom. Person answers me back within like 20 minutes. Comes back on my email and it's like, just want to say thank you for this. You're literally the 6th person that has ever answered this back out of
Right?
100,000 books that have been sold.
Was
Wow.
that Jerry? Hey, Joe, was that Jerry?
No, Kimberly.
Okay. Oh, that's
Slavic.
right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
That's
And
so cool.
And so I was like, oh, and we're still friends to this day. Right. I brought
Wow.
her into the group and I'm like, hey guys, look, this is amazing stuff that she teaches. All right. And I was like, okay, but to me, nobody takes action. Nobody's
Right.
doing it.
You're right.
Right. And
Very
so
rarely.
you don't be afraid to offer it because they're not going to. But when I sat in that room last night, Dan,
Yeah.
in all truth, I was like, most of these people are going to take me up on it.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't want to offer it out to the group of people that want to collect knowledge and not do anything with it. Right.
Right.
They'll be like,
Yeah.
I never understood this when again, Bob and I have been friends for years. And
Yeah.
Bob was like, the personal coaching costs a lot of money. And I'm like, why would you do? And he's like, because of what it takes out of you. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until, right, because as an employee, I didn't understand to spend the money to get the coach.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And then when I go out and say, now I'm the coach, I'm like, holy crap. Yeah, I got to triple my rates because you people suck. Right.
I know.
Right.
Right.
it's
I'm
so
like,
funny
it's not that you suck in your job or your ability. It's you suck on your ability to follow through and you become such a vampire of need. And it's like, no. So if I could smack you into believing in yourself right away, wow, what a difference that would be.
Yeah.
Right. And then the coaching would be so much less. But literally, you have to fix this before they can even get the input that you're giving.
Yeah.
Right. So
Amen.
when when you talk about coaching and getting a coach, it's look, I find categorically salespeople, it's very easy to sell to them. I'm an easy sale. I love getting sold. I love buying something because if someone can spin a great vision of it, and look, I've spent a lot of money, I waste a lot of money. It's not really wasted, I haven't gotten what I thought, but when it's
You
time
learned
to
something.
hire, definitely, because I have to get a good value. When you want to hire a coach, especially a business coach, the question that you have to ask them is, how are you going to make sure I get paid back for what I'm paying you? Not what's the guarantee, because you don't necessarily need a guarantee, right? Like you don't want a money back guarantee because you're only setting yourself up for failure. Like when I went skydiving, if there was a sign above the door that said, we'll give you your money back if you don't want to go skydiving, right? I mean, it just would have been an easy way out. So I don't give a guarantee, but what I do tell people is, and this is true, I have a long history of getting people paid back on what they're paying me by the 3rd month, because I have a plan to get people paid back. And any business coach that you want to hire should have a plan for getting you paid back. And if they don't, run. If they say something like, oh, well, what you get out of it is what you put into it, run, right? Because it's like hiring a pilot to fly you from LA to New York, and they land in Cleveland and say, well, if you had been a better passenger, we would have gotten to New York, right? It is my responsibility as a coach to make sure that you get value. If you're not getting value, I have to change, not you, right? And I'm putting every coach on notice about that, right? Because I'm so tired of these bullshit coaches selling people on bullshit programs that do nothing.
Yep. Agree. Agree.
So fantastic. I'm going to say Brian dropped off. He did wave goodbye and mention in the private chat he had to bounce. So I'm going to do that. We are creeping up on that hour mark.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you, Dan. Everybody else, text help to 213-409-8366. Bob, thank you always being a value add.
Thank you, brother.
In the group. And everybody else that's listening, go out and sell something.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Dan.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dan.